Hello and welcome to the video. Today I'll be taking you through my process of making this Titanic wreck diorama. We'll get back to the model later on, but first a little history lesson. The year is 1907 and the White Star Line needs a trio of ocean liners to compete with the Cunard Line's speedy Lusitania and Mauretania. This trio would go on to be the ill-fated Olympic class, consisting of the RMS Olympic, Titanic and Britannic respectively. The Olympic was the first built and she was a great success. The White Star Line had opted to choose grandeur and luxury over speed, and her design was to be built upon for the other two sisters. The Titanic was built alongside Olympic, though completed a year later. She's probably the one you're most familiar with, having many pop culture pieces made about her and her tragic story over the years. On her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York, she struck an iceberg and sank, with over 1,500 lives lost. She now infamously lies in two main pieces on the seafloor. My fascination with Titanic has persisted throughout my life. I might lose interest, but then I'll be hooked again within a few years. The model I used for this project was an Academy multicolor parts set in 1/700th scale. It had seen better days with broken masts, lousy gluing, and it was getting dusty. So what did I do with it? I wrecked it. My first step was taking the funnels off, which then made it easier to cut in two with a saw. I then used a heat gun to lightly melt the plastic so I could bend it, and here is when one of the first problems arose. The black part and the red part of the hull weren't connected by glue, rather they clicked together. Because they weren't connected all along the hull, the red part bent in a different direction, opening an ugly hole in between the two parts. Luckily for me, on the real wreck, this part of the ship is buried under the sand, so it wasn't much to worry about. I then had to replicate the damage done to the ship as it made its way to the ocean floor. I snapped the mast backwards, removed much of the bridge, and also bent the back of the bow. Then I could insert boilers and decks into the empty space. These were just wooden dowels and pieces of cardboard cut to size. It was then time for painting. For this step I used brown acrylic paints. I applied several coats of it, and once I was happy, I brushed an orange pencil against the sides of the ship. The graphite would get caught in the rivets and windows, providing some nice accents to the monotonous brown of the whole model. As I wanted this to be displayed, I figured it would be the proper decision to make a base for it, so that's what I did. The workshop had some pieces of wood that had ridges sticking out of it, and I used them to my advantage, measuring the height of the ridges and using a piece of wood at the base of which they would be the frames. With the base assembled, it was then time to paint. I painted it black, then sanded it to give it a worn look, and finally sprayed it with a glossy clear finish. With that complete, all that was left was the sand surrounding the Titanic. To fill in the space, I simply mixed 2 parts sand and 1 part PVA glue. It hardened within 45 minutes, and it molded around the wreck pretty easily. Once it hardened, I wasn't quite satisfied with the texture. The grains of sand just looked too big. To resolve this issue, I sprinkled some sawdust, noticeably smaller than sand, on top of it. This gave me the desired effect, and after I added a little extra debris, the diorama was finished. I know this model isn't 100% accurate, but if you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing for more content like this in the future. I mainly build LEGO trains, but if this video is successful, I'll look into making more like this one. Finally, thank you for watching till the end, and until next time, farewell.